like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Education Committee meeting at 6 o'clock on the 3rd of January. And we would like to go ahead and have our invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful season of the year. We pray, Lord, tonight that as we conduct the business of the county, that you will give us discernment and wisdom and guidance to do your will, and always depend upon your guidance in decisions that are made. We ask these things in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, first thing to do is make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Second thing, approval of the minutes for 5 December 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Okay. Recognition of the public. You want to go ahead and state your name and your address.
Kevin Baker at 424 A.B. Wade Road. I wasn't sure I was going to speak to the committee or not, but I really applaud your efforts to rid our school systems of the corruption and the pornographic materials that have kind of weaved their way in here. You know, and I know it may not be your role, but we have a long history of implementing the doctrine of the lesser magistrate, where somebody who steps in front and protects the citizens, but more importantly, the young citizens. And I know it's not your role, but if the school board isn't going to proactively step up and do this, and when I say do this, the fact that we see little embers of smoke and little wisps of smoke all around this country, where our school boards, parents are standing up and saying in all kinds of places across this nation that we've got a problem. We cannot continue to stick our head in the sand here in Sumner County and think we don't have a problem. I think you all know that we do. We've got to get our school board to recognize that. I talk to a lot of people across Sumner County, and I get varying responses. Some people think I'm just a jerk and a crackpot and whatever. I have never gotten as many responses as when I started talking to people about what was going on with the schools. And they all agree with me that if there's smoke, there's fire. And I applaud you all for doing what you're doing. Keep the pressure on. The school board's got to recognize it's not them. This has been a systemic problem across this nation. They've been slowly working their way in. That now it's okay. If I dress up as a woman, say I'm a woman, I'm sorry. That kids see that stuff. We've got to wake up and realize their role, our school system role, and your role is really to educate the next generation. So I applaud you, Mr. Chairman. Stick to your guns. They've got to recognize, and it's not them per se. We've got a systemic problem across this country. It starts with the TSBA here in Tennessee. It's woven its way in, and it's eroding the basic moral fibers of our society. So stick to your guns. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm going to hold my report as far as chairman is concerned to the end of the meeting. Go ahead and move on. The county mayor told me in email he would not be here tonight and he didn't have anything to report. Director of schools, I don't see him here. He did send out a quarterly financial report at 2:10 by email. It was done on a PDF form. The hyperlink didn't work. I asked him if he was going to have anybody here. Is there anybody here from the school board to answer questions so we could audit this financial report? I don't see anybody. So we'll go ahead and move on to old business. And I guess that's pretty much a moot point because I had a lot of questions for the Infinity Pipeline. Still, I got some of the answers, and I'll go ahead and read those into the record that I got from Dr. Phillips by email. I'd like to make a motion for discussion of this.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. So I asked some questions of Dr. Phillips in reference to the pipeline, and these were the answers that I got from Dr. Phillips. First of all, I said, I would like to know what the completion date was supposed to be, and he told me the February 5th, 2022 was substantial completion date. May 7th, 2022 was the final completion date. The school district has TDEC, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation certified personnel within our maintenance department to carry out this function at Liberty Creek as well as other schools within the county where public sewer service isn't accessible to the school location, or and when we encounter a sewer issue which is being repaired. And so I asked then, since the project is not complete, the sewage is being hauled away in tanker trucks. Who's paying for this bill? And the sewage is being transported by TDEC certified school employees to a TDEC and White House utility approved sewer location. So evidently the taxpayer is on the hook for that, since the taxpayer is paying for what the school does. The land that was condemned 3/4 of an acre to 2.5 or more acres for others for the sewer line easement needs to be given back to homeowners instead of making it a greenway. He said the easements obtained by White House Utility District for this project are, to my knowledge, sewer only. Some landowners may have voluntarily signed both a sewer and greenway easement, but many signed sewer only easements. It could be different for each parcel. School district nor county own the easements or easement rights. The school district nor Sumner County have the legal authority now or in the future to place a greenway or anything on those easements if they are deeded as sewer only. Those easements are specific to the sewer and its inspection and maintenance. It's my understanding that we, the school system, and or county do not own any easements or property to return. The school district has no intention of pursuing a greenway. We do not have the legal authority to construct a greenway that isn't located on school property. Now, I'm not sure, and let's see, so where's Commissioner Mansfield? He was here, wasn't he?
He's chatting outside.
Oh, he's outside, okay.
I can go get him and grab him.
If you wouldn't mind, thank you, Don. I'm not sure whether Resolution 2212-03 for the private act would preclude this action. I'd just like to get a little clarification, maybe from him, maybe from our law director. Maybe we could get something as far as that is concerned. Question was on this Infinity Pipeline, would the resolution that would pass 2212-03, would that preclude any greenway being done on that easement for the sewer?
Yes.
Okay. And you also concur with that?
Based on the last draft of it I saw, I would agree.
Okay. So hopefully we'll stop that. Lastly, I asked, is there a projected completion date for the sewer? Is there a monetary penalty for going past that date? He said, we pray every day that the contractor, Infinity Pipeline, will complete the project. The contract specifies a $2,000 per calendar day monetary penalty for each day past the original completion date. That's a pretty substantial penalty right there. So I'm proud that our construction team, with the help of White House Utility District and TDEC, prepared in advance for a possible construction delay by Infinity Pipeline so the school complex could be open to schedule. And so, like I say, I have these questions. Since the school's TDEC personnel are hauling the sewage, the taxpayer is paying for the service, and I was going to get verification on that. Are we collecting the $2,000 per day for this contract? If so, what is Infinity's plan to complete the pipeline, or are they in default of their contract? Is there another company that's going to finish this pipeline, since they are in default? Where is the monetary penalty money going, and what is it being used for? So those were questions that I had for school folks here that I don't see. After we get maybe answers to those questions, it should, I guess, go to general ops to figure out those questions.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
I would ask that, try to include us in those questions. That way we can see their responses as they come back, or we can include some questions that we have. Because one of my questions that I have is, I'm not aware or don't know, or do we have a truck at the county level that's a honey wagon, as I know is what
Yeah,
they
that's
used
what
to
it
call
is.
it, is,
That's what it is.
for lack of better words, is that what we have at the
Evidently
county?
we do.
I'm not looking to you for an answer, I'm just looking to see if maybe somebody knows.
Well, according to this answer here, yes, we do.
We didn't have.
And that's what I was wondering when we occurred.
I
They may
mean-
be renting one or something, but it sounds like they have a paddy wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, of course, my other question is what kind of health and safety issues are we putting our kids, inside the school? When it backs up and runs out into the floor,
Well, that
like
would
I've heard that
happen.
it's done before, what happens to our children? Without going down a rabbit trail, that we're so often accused of, it doesn't matter who's the commission, nobody likes the kids, but, I mean, I think that's a genuine question that we need to look at is, what's the health and safety of our kids like? Are they changing the air filters the way they're supposed to? Are the fecal spores that's getting into the air, are we taking care of that like it's supposed to? I mean, is it all TDEC approved, and what happens?
True.
Just a question,
Sure.
can I clarify? Did you say that right now that the pipeline is, that White House Utility has ownership of that, or the school board? It was my understanding that the school board had ownership of that, and they were handling it until it was completed, at which point they would turn it over to White House Utility, and then they would handle it.
Yeah. What I said was they were hauling the sewage to a TDEC White House utility district location.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Okay, I was just confused about that. And so another question would be, since is the original date, are they charging $2,000 a day from February or from May? Because that's a
That's a
lot
lot.
of money,
Oh, yeah.
either way you look
Yeah,
at it.
that's true.
And they have a sinkhole right now that they're dealing with that is one that's the size of a swimming pool, that's about 30 to 35 feet deep. And then there's another one that's opened up just past that. So, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a movie called Money Pit.
So, just some things to think about that might need, I don't know that there are answers at this point. I think they're still just really trying to work through it. I feel real bad for the guys on the ground, because they're trying so hard. Anyway, just some questions.
Yeah, okay.
So, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Chairman, I have a question, and this may need to go to the attorney, but we're sitting here and we're somewhat satisfied that we got our answer to a greenway. But our state, for one thing, that hasn't been approved, but if it is approved by the legislature, what it does is, it basically says, as I saw it, that we would not be condemning any property for a greenway. So that really, to me, sounds dangerous, because you could go through very innocently and acquire property as an easement, and then turn around, you say, we didn't condemn anything. We did a sewer, we're doing a greenway through here. Would that be feasible, possible, if you didn't condemn?
That would be a loophole around the condemnation provision, yes.
Well, there are people in this county that use loopholes.
That's true. Very
so
true.
I have one question,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. Do we have access to the Infinity contract? Because that would be
No.
something I'd like to see.
Yeah,
I mean, it has a huge financial impact on the county,
oh, yeah.
so we should know what is in there.
Okay, I'll put that down as a question to ask too.
Thank you.
And I don't know, it is, this may be a far fetch, and council, I'm sorry to throw you under this bus so early, but is there something we as a legislative body can do, would be similar to a show cause, to call someone to come and answer these questions? Short of a court order, obviously I'm not wanting to go to that point, but, I mean, these are questions that we're getting asked about the kids in the school and the honey wagon running up down the road.
I'll have to put a little bit more time into it, but my cursory research is there are certain quarterly requirements as far as for fiscal reports and things of that nature that do require them to be here for answering those questions. Now, the enforceability, I couldn't find
Sure.
anything that had shown where somebody had to press the issue to something short of a court order, but I'll be more than glad to look into that and get back with
Appreciate
you.
that.
Is there any further discussion?
Now, they do have a school board meeting tonight, so that may be why nobody's here. This-
It's
I
true.
know we had to move our meeting for the county building being closed.
Closed, yeah, that's true. And they start at 6 too, don't they?
I think so.
I think.
Okay, go ahead and move on to the next, under old business, new version of the resolution for Lawn Boy book.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, we have a motion and a second. Do we, since we've got that motion and second, is it required to take a vote or just no action and it stay on?
Well, it's just for discussion is all it was
Okay.
for. And since we don't have any answers or anything like that,
I just want to make sure we're,
yeah, that's all the motion was for discussion.
sure.
Okay, so like I say, the new version of the resolution, I'd like to, again, put a motion up for discussion of this.
I'll make a
Second.
motion.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Even though this resolution was sent through the full commission the first time according to our adopted standing procedures and policy and passed, we had a lawsuit placed against the whole commission and also against certain members of the commission initially. We're taking this resolution through the committee, and if it passes, then to the full commission in order to satisfy the lawsuit. There's one change to the resolution from the first one that I will address later. The book Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison is a book steeped in homosexual pedophilia. How this book was ever considered age appropriate for minors is beyond me. It makes me question the authorities that allowed it in the school libraries. The book, according to the Sumner County Library Database, is in 2 of our high school libraries, or was, Gallatin High School and Hendersonville High School, and is a violation of the school board policy 4.40012 and Tennessee Code 39-17-911 regarding the unlawful distribution of obscene materials to minors. Book is obscene, containing what Tennessee law 39-17-911 describes as explicit and detailed verbal descriptions of sexual excitement and sexual conduct. And I will not read filth anymore from this book. If this book is not a violation of Tennessee Code 39-17-911, why was it removed from the shelves of the school libraries by a review committee? It should still be on the shelves if it wasn't a violation, or is the school board school system trying to avoid legal action? It also makes me wonder about the ordering, reviewing, and purchasing process. Does the chief academic officer or director of schools read every book in the school system? I don't think they do that. So there has to be a group of people below this level to do this activity. Therefore, I added the head librarians who select the books and are the curators of the library, and the executive principals who are the ones signing the purchase orders for the books. This book was published in April of 2018. Was this book hiding in our libraries for 4 years? It makes me wonder what else is out there lurking in our school libraries for our children to lose their innocence at such an early age. According to Tennessee Code 49-6 3803, such review committees only have recommendation authority and cannot render a decision to keep or remove a book. Therefore, any decision to keep or remove Lawn Boy rests solely with the Board of Education according to state law. Until they do, Lawn Boy could make a reappearance without breaking the law because the Board of Education has not ruled on it. It's just, like I say, the review committee removed it. This book was removed from school libraries because of the possible lawsuit that was looming and was clearly a violation of the law. If it was not, put it back on the shelves and let's see what happens. Next two books deal with the 14 prohibited concepts of schools of Tennessee Code Annotated 49-06-1019. First one is Place Inside Me. We all know what happened with this book on the 15th of November at the Board of Education meeting. Majority voted to retain this anti-American book in our school libraries for kindergarten to second graders to read. Hopefully the public will render a decision on this vote in the next election. This book, through its illustrations by Noah Denman, portrays Black Lives Matter, the organization, as a good organization aimed at helping people. It is anything but, and BLM is the core of this book. Another book, library book, which is fictional, may I add, is Dragon Wings by Lawrence Yep. Is currently in the libraries of Merrill Hyde Magnet, Gallatin High School, and Station Camp High School. Had another parent, David Coleman, in Blount County as the first person to pursue the prohibited concepts violation up to Commissioner Schwinn because of its defamation of white Americans through its 300-plus pages. This book was pointed out to me and Commissioners Klein and Boyd by Carol Swain, Princeton and Vanderbilt professor and media analyst and personality at a conference. A petition in Blount County circulated online because of the district to remove the novel from its curriculum because of racism, foul language, underage drinking, violence, drugs, prostitution, and alcohol. Union Grove Middle School principal John Webb told parents they would no longer be teaching it. He said, our students have been studying the novel, which was included in our state-approved curriculum. A materials review team has recommended that the inclusion of the book be discontinued at this time in Blount County Schools. That review was conducted in accordance with Blount County Schools Policy 4.403 according to the district. I'm not going to read the law. It has numerous things that are there. So therefore, we as a committee, in this, and I'll go ahead and just read the resolution one more time here, just so that. Whereas Tennessee Code Annotated 39-17-911 states it is unlawful for any person to knowingly sell or loan for monetary consideration or otherwise exhibit or make available to a minor any picture, photograph, drawing, sculpture, motion picture, film, video game, computer software game, or similar visual representation or image of a person or portion of the human body that depicts nudity, sexual conduct, excess violence, or sadomasochistic abuse and is harmful to minors, or any book, pamphlet, magazine, printed matter, however reproduced, or sound recording which contains any matter enumerated in subdivisions A1, or that contains explicit and detailed verbal descriptions or narrative accounts of sexual excitement, sexual conduct, excess violence, or sadomasochistic abuse and that is harmful to minors. And whereas a violation of Tennessee Code Annotated 39-17-911 was found in the book Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison, which was purchased and distributed in Sumner County schools, and text found in the book has a grown man thinking about graphically narrated sex between two small boys, and whereas sampling of such unlawful passages as displayed on page 174 of the book Long Boy, and I'm not going to read that. Whereas violation of the above statute is a Class A misdemeanor in state of Tennessee, and whereas Tennessee Code Annotated 49-06-1019A establishes several concepts which shall be included or promoted in curriculums and the supplemental materials of primary and secondary schools within the state of Tennessee, such as, and there you got the whole list of the 14 prohibited concepts. And then whereas the B paragraph here keeps it where a lot of people say, well, then you can't teach the Bible. Well, that's what paragraph B right there takes care of, is that things, it says, Tennessee Code Annotated 49-06-1019B does not prohibit an LEA or public charter school from including as part of a course of instruction or in a curriculum or instructional program, or from allowing teachers or other employees of the LEA or public charter school to use supplemental instructional materials that include, number one, the history of an ethnic group as described in textbooks and instructional materials adopted in accordance with Part 22 of this chapter. Number two, the impartial discussion of controversial aspects of history. Number three, the impartial instruction of the historical oppression of a particular group of people based on race, ethnicity, class, nationality, religion, or geographic region. Or number four, historical documents relevant to subdivisions B 1 through 3 that are permitted under 49-6-1011. Whereas Tennessee Code Annotated 49-06-1019C states specifically, if the Commissioner of Education finds that an LEA or public charter school knowingly violated this section, then the Commissioner shall withhold state funds in an amount determined by the Commissioner from the LEA or public charter school until the LEA or public charter school provides evidence to the Commissioner that the LEA or public charter school is no longer in violation of this section. That is what we're trying to preclude right there. Whereas violations, Tennessee Code Annotated 49-06-1019A were found in the books A Place Inside of Me by Zetta Elliott and Dragon Wings by Lawrence Yep, which were purchased and distributed in Sumner County schools, and text found in the books as examples of racism, foul language, underage drinking, violence, drugs, prostitution, alcohol, hatred of police, overthrow of the government, destruction of the nuclear family, and communism. Whereas the Sumner County Commission is committed to supporting the just laws of the state of Tennessee by ensuring against violation against our laws by a single individual's opinion, judgment, or ideology, and whereas the administration of the Board of Education of Sumner County Schools have failed to comply with Tennessee law, and whereas statements by some individual staff and administrative personnel indeed appeared to argue for direct defiance of Tennessee law, and this is where it was added. Be it resolved that the Sumner County Commission strongly encourages the formation of 3 material and curriculum review committees, one each for the elementary, middle, and high school levels to review appropriate books for the school district. Further, it is resolved the head librarians, executive principals, director of schools, and the chief academic officer are hereby strongly encouraged to ensure that the Sumner County school environment is free from obscene and provocative material in accordance with Tennessee Code. Be it further resolved that this body directs the Office of the Law Director to send copies of this resolution to all members of the Sumner County School Board. So again, I just wanted to make sure it is strongly encouraged. There is no punitive measure, no judicial action being taken here. We're trying to keep state funds flowing. So, anybody else have any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to, next to the last paragraph, further to be resolved, the head librarians, executive principals, can we strike executive? I mean, the principal, we don't use that terminology in Sumner County. It's
Who's
principal,
the head
assistant
principal?
principal,
Just principal?
principal, and then assistant principal.
Okay. Okay, so we'll
We have
strike
a
the
headline.
executive, I'm going with Metro, that's what we call them, Metro.
Do we have head librarians
Okay.
here, Danny?
And you do have head librarian?
We have a few schools, high schools that have head librarians.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll keep that then. Okay, so we'll strike the executive principal. I take it back. You wanna make a motion for
I
that?
make a motion that we remove executive from next to the last paragraph, just principals.
Anybody second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I think all of us want to see state money continue to flow to the school system and no penalty as that's concerned. And most of the people in the schools are good people. There are some out there that are on the fringes, but for the most part, librarians, principals try to do the right thing. For those who don't, and in a meaningful way, include material like this, and I say that because I do know that librarians would receive, you could buy bulk loads of books with money that's given to come to the school system and not know each and every individual book that's in that bulk. So I would give some leeway there. But I would say that I think the only way that's going to get people's attention, if this doesn't work, is to somehow make it civilly liable to an individual to whom this has been called to their attention, this book is not appropriate according to state law. That's the only way you're going to get the attention of people. Not penalize the entire school system, but if someone is wanting to keep that kind of material in the school system after it being brought to their attention and after a committee has been established and so forth, I think that we need to encourage our state representatives and senators, and maybe now is not the appropriate time, but I see it down the road, to make them civilly liable for breaking this law.
and I know Commissioner Boyd found where Missouri does have that kind of statute. In fact, they had to go through their library with a lawyer. The librarian and a lawyer went through there and made sure that there was a list, and they had to make sure that all those books were removed from, because it did have teeth in it.
And I know that some people would try to make us look like book burners
No, well,
and that sort of thing, but I certainly am not in that category. But I do distinguish myself from some of the filth that we have seen, because I did go on the web and investigate some of these books and the material in them, and it was not good.
Yeah, and like, I said, and you know, as far as, we're talking about school libraries, just remove it from the school libraries and just put it in public libraries. And like I say, we're not advocating burning of books or anything like that, just keep the innocence of our children, that's all we're asking. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, did you say this was to satisfy the lawsuit? Is that why we need to run it back through?
that's why we're running it back through.
Do you know the outcome of that lawsuit by any chance?
It's
or
still
is it
hanging
still-
out there. Well, you haven't, I know we're probably putting you on the point.
Pending tonight will change things, so I do not know what the tea leaves read at the moment.
Yeah.
Pending,
I'll have to go
pending how
back
this
through
goes.
again, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess now we'll go ahead and, I'll make a motion that we adopt this resolution and pass it on to the
I do
full
have one more
commission.
question before, I'm
Sure,
sorry.
go ahead.
I know there was 3 books included, and then 2 of it, was the Dragon Wings, has that been brought up to the school board yet? Do you know, that you know of?
No, I tried and I got shut down.
Okay.
They didn't wanna listen to me.
Some of the language makes sense if we're talking about stuff that we've already, like if they've reviewed and went through all that. But if they haven't had the opportunity to respond to that, I don't know if it's appropriate to put that in
Well,
here
well,
and
I
lump it
mean,
in together. And
Well,
from what
like
you
I say,
said,
I
it all
tried,
makes
but
sense. Sure.
they shut me down.
So it is in our libraries.
Oh, in those
Okay.
libraries that I mentioned, it's in 3 different high school libraries.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'll second your motion.
Okay. So the motion before has been seconded is passage of this resolution to put it on to the full commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?
No.
Okay. So we have Commissioner Lambert opposing. Okay. That finishes the old business. We move on to the new business. And we've got Sheriff Weatherford here, who is courageously coming out after his surgery and everything, and has avoided a big landmine.
I stepped off in this one, I'm afraid. So anyway, for the 5 weeks as of today, I had surgery. I had aortic aneurysm surgery, and so I've been down for the last 5 weeks. They've not allowed me to go back to work. I have to have a driver. But anyway, I feel good. I go back Thursday. I feel they're going to release me. Everything's like it should be. But I've had a lot of time on my hands, and which has drove me crazy. So I wake up about 3 o'clock every morning because I can't sleep. And so I watch a lot of TV and programs. And so this past Thursday, and I'm not asking for any money. First, I'm just trying to make this body aware of what I found. So this past Thursday, I saw a program on children overdoses in the high schools.
Yep.
And the program showed that out of the 50 states, there's only 20 states that actually put Narcan in the school to where it's accessible like an AED. And so Tennessee is not one of those states. And so Illinois, Kentucky are the only 2 in the central, middle area of the United States. And then Georgia, below us, allows it. So everyone around us, other than those, do not allow it, or have not allowed it to this point. So what struck me was, since 2010, they've been keeping up with this, and as of 2020, the percentage of deaths by high school students by overdose has went up 133%. So that got me to thinking, again, I have nothing to do with the schools, don't want anything to do with the schools, but I feel that my job is security and safety. And we put a SRO in the schools for safety. I supply them with Narcan, they wear it on their belt. But what I'm bringing to you to make you aware of is the way this program is set up. And what they do is they put a box on the wall in the school that says overdose emergency kit. And it has a little hammer that you break the glass, similar to the fire alarms. It's 9 inches tall, I think it's 7 inches wide, 3 inches thick. So we're not talking a really large emergency box. And I apologize because my secretary printed all this out for me, but there should have been one more that actually showed this box sitting inside this cabinet. So anyway, what made me want to get on board with this was I had rather we be proactive and do something like this, which is minimum cost. You know, the box, you can even get it from Amazon. So it was less than $100. It was like the unlockable one, which I wouldn't suggest for a school, was $66, and these were like $80 some odd. But I did not call the company. I just, like I said, got online and checked some prices on that. But anyway, you say, well, we don't need Narcan in the schools. I wished I could tell you that. I wished I could say we don't have drugs in the schools. I wished I could say fentanyl is not in Sumner County. But we prosecute people all throughout the year that have sold drugs and people have died from it, overdosed and died. And so we have made several cases by that. So what I'm asking is to this body, do you feel that this is something that we need to go forward with? Because when I spoke with the director of schools, I called him, I spoke with the chairman, Mr. Brown. He told me to go ahead and bring it to this body. But I also called the director, who I did not receive a phone call until several hours later in the day, which I'd already talked to numerous people at that time. He felt that I needed to just bring it to the school board or just bring it to him. And so I'm trying to do the right thing to where nobody can say I skipped over somebody or I didn't let somebody know it. So that's the reason I'm here tonight to this body, is to let you know what I'm wanting to do in the future is going forward and asking for this to be put into each school, well, each high school. Now, with that being said, I spoke with one of the main supervisors I have over the SRO today, this afternoon. He informed me that this year, since the school started this year, we've already had one overdose. And it was actually in White House Middle School. So we're talking about a middle school. I'm only asking for high schools. So I think we need to start a program to where we can be the mentor, and I hate to say that, mentor, but we can be a leader in saying we're wanting to go forward, we want to be proactive. We want our schools to have this. It's like an AED. Who would think that you would need an AED in schools? We had a child, Station Camp, this past year, fell out. AED was used on a child. Child survived. There's no way to misuse Narcan. This is what, it's two doses in this box. And even on the front, even if you didn't have instructions, it tells you how to use it. It's just a matter of sticking it up in their nose and squeezing the button on the bottom of it. Just like you had an inhaler. It's that simple. Now, the good thing about this drug is if I actually was not overdosing, it was something else, it does not cause any influence to my body whatsoever. Now, we have not tested that, but we have researched it. We have researched it, and there is no data out there to say that if you used it on someone that did not overdose, that it would cause them any problems. So again, I'd like to pass, and I apologize. I came in, like I said, I'm not working. I came in this afternoon to print some stuff I had on my phone. All of it didn't get printed. My secretary left. Her printer was the only one I could use. And so I only have these two photos. This one is of the percentage and increases throughout the last, since 2010. And then this is a picture of what the box would look like. And my suggestion would be, if we went forward with this, is that we already have the SROs do an assessment of the schools every year. Let them do an assessment of where it needs to be placed in the school, because you don't want it in the office on a school the size of Liberty, and it'd be the back classroom that's needed in, and it'd take you several minutes to get it back there to that person. I think it should be utilized in an area where it would be most utilized to the whole school. That's kind of what my thing is for tonight. I will try to answer questions if you have some questions, but again, I'm just trying to bring it to this body, saying, again, I'm not trying to tell the schools what to do. I'm not trying to do anything with the schools other than I have grandchildren in the schools, and if they were to accidentally or to actually take a drug and have an overdose, I want them to have something to where they can survive that encounter, as I'm sure a lot of you here have children in schools. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I apologize, but like I said, and if you want to open this up, just don't push the button because it is live. But like
Well,
I
then we
said,
would know.
Yeah, we know what
but like I
it's-
said, it
You
will.
get to be the test one.
Sharon,
No,
I have a
not
couple
me. I
questions.
have a tiny heart.
One, I appreciate you bringing this
We
up.
know.
I see what, everything you're saying. I really
We know
appreciate
you
that.
have.
I have a couple of questions. With our officers, how many doses are they carrying right now?
They carry 2 doses
2 doses.
on their belt, which, like I said, is supplied by us. I supplied the carrier, I supplied the Narcan. So every SRO has it, but again, what if he is outside the property, or I'm just giving the worst scenario.
On playground.
Do you feel like that's enough? I mean, you know, if
No.
the kids in a bathroom, they
So
like
let
to
me
share.
tell you this.
Yeah.
We have had cases, I mean, we use this every week, and I hate to say that, but we in Sumner County
Probably
use
every day.
Narcan every week.
Some agency does.
So, with that being said, some patients takes 2, 3 doses to
That's what I
bring them
heard.
back to
Right.
consciousness. So, like I said, the SRO is gonna have 2 doses. This is 2 doses that would be in this box. If we needed, we could actually put 2 of these boxes in this and lock it up and secure it. I would recommend the lock, because like I said, we're talking about students.
Absolutely.
No, it's for.
I'm just saying students are students, and it might come up missing. But, again, that's what my presentation to this body is my willingness. I'm even willing to, I have instructors that go, our people go through this class every year. I have instructors that I would be willing to send, you know yourself, every June, all the teachers meet, down in Long Hall, and they have an in-service for a week long. I would gladly have my instructors go down there and instruct an hour class or whatever. I mean, it doesn't take that long. I'm sure if I talk with the director of EMS, Greg, I'm sure would volunteer his instructors. But I'm just saying, I feel that we need to have this available in the schools.
Sheriff, is this something also that the Sumner County Prevention Coalition could be a partnership,
I spoke
stakeholder?
with them. I've spoke with a lot of people
Sure.
since Thursday. But I talked with Representative Lambert. I talked with the coalition, and they said that if I could get the state to approve it, they would supply Narcan free of cost.
Okay,
So I called William,
sure.
and William said I would have to come up with the exact department, which I have not come up with. I'm still working on. But again, I'm just wanting to see what your thoughts are. If you feel we need to move forward, again, I don't want to have to be reacting to.
Well, and my concern is I've got one in elementary school and one in middle school, and I hear them coming home talking about so-and-so's vaping in the bathroom. My opinion is, and just as a person sitting on this committee, if we're gonna do this, and I'm very much behind you on doing this, I think we need to look at doing it all 30 schools in Sumner County, all the way through.
I'm just bringing it to get it started.
Right, and that's what I'm saying though. But I would just again being on this committee, I would encourage you to look at doing all K-12. I think you would have the support there to do that.
I can't tell you if I will or not, because we're talking about a different board and a different.
Sure,
But I was told that they had money there to purchase these boxes.
good.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who then will be allowed to use it? Just a teacher or just adults?
That's,
Does that make sense?
I would,
what
yes,
I'm
ma'am. So you don't have to be certified to use it.
I
Right.
think we had a good Samaritan.
So, but I
No, but
would
it
feel
doesn't
that
cover
it needed to be
independent.
an adult, or, which mainly is gonna be teachers.
Right.
The reason I ask is I taught CPR, and so we could not use EpiPens on the children. We
Sure.
would have to say, here's your EpiPen, now stab your own thigh with it,
Right.
because that was not covered under Good
No, I understand.
Samaritan.
But-
So that's what I would just wonder that we'd run into
I have not
any
seen anything that says,
liability
Right.
issues.
but now I'm still working on it.
Sure.
Okay,
But your meeting came up this Tuesday, so
yeah.
I wanted to, the school board, February is the earliest I could get on their committee. So I'm just saying, I'm wanting to get it started. And if you tell me you don't want this to go forward, I'm gonna drop it. Even though I think this is something we need to be preventative. Like I said, I hate to say we have a drug problem. We don't really have a drug problem, but we have drug issues
Right.
in Sumner County.
I make a motion, we ask the sheriff to proceed with this. I don't know if that needs to be in motion form
Well,
or whatnot. but,
like I say,
mean, I think reading the room, I think we're all on board.
Well, yeah, we're all in agreement. This is just an issue that, we need to see if the school board wants to do this, you know, again, we can strongly encourage, just like we did in the resolution, but we can't force them. So I guess that's what I'm gonna propose is that, we just take a vote to strongly encourage the school board to adopt this measure to try and, preclude any more deaths, overdoses or whatever in our schools. Because I do have 2 grandsons in elementary school, and I don't want to see that happening at all either. So,
I think it needs to include all Sumner County
yeah,
schools.
I would like to see all Sumner County
that's
schools.
fine.
Because
I was just trying to get
yeah.
my foot in the door.
And
We-
I would
yeah.
just like to go back to what Shannon was saying. If legal could tell us what kind of liabilities we might have, if we have it there and they don't use it, are we liable because they didn't use it? Any type of liability that we might not be aware of, like having a medical
I have a
piece.
question.
But
Whenever you do life saving, you know, like when you give CPR or you give life support, I believe you're covered under the Good Samaritan Act. So if someone is down and they're overdosed and you don't know that anyway, but you give them the Narcan, A, the Narcan won't work if they're not overdosed, and B,
Right.
it will work if they are. You're covered, I think, under the Good Samaritan Act.
I think you would.
Because, you know, it's not like an EpiPen. EpiPen is adrenaline, so that can be
Speed up
different.
the heart.
Yep, it can be a lot different.
Yeah.
So, the
That's
problem
just
I have,
something-
Narcan is gonna be used, can be used for, you have to be careful with dosages. So, I don't know about the children, I'm not sure about the Narcan on the children, because there may be a dosage adjustment there. We may have to get a pediatric Narcan kit. But I have a question about your lock boxes. You're gonna lock it up, who's gonna have the keys and?
No.
No.
Sorry,
It has a break,
I
Little
wasn't there
hammer.
a
earlier.
plexiglass window on
You just break
it.
it?
You just break it, yes.
Okay. I was just curious, okay. That's all I have to say. I thought it was covered under the Good Samaritan.
But her question was, what if you had it, and you didn't use it, and they overdosed?
She asked if
Her,
she
yeah.
didn't. My question was, what's the liability if you use it?
There's no liability.
And the school system has, they have
But we
nursing
don't.
procedures in place
Right.
where CERT teams,
Legal
school emergency
liability.
response teams, and then every year, all
They're
those things are
retrained.
checked. Anything that's outdated is automatically updated. So, but
I, as a layperson, would have to assume that if you use an AED, it's the same as an AED. The AED's in the school, if you choose to use it or not, I mean, I think it would be on the same way.
I don't know.
Commissioner
That's a
Jones?
question. So if you're putting this in a glass container to be broken, people are gonna break it if it's not in a safe place and secure
Well,
place.
that's-
So it stands to reason it would be somewhere in the office or in a well-monitored hidden place from children. What's the difference in that and the SRO? You got Narcan on the sites. I'm not understanding why putting it somewhere else where it may be just as inaccessible
Well,
makes a difference.
yeah, what we
Just
talked
something to think
about
about.
was trying to make it diametrically opposed to wherever the SRO's office is, so that you have 2 areas of the school. Now, that was, I had a whole speech right here, but, that was what, my recommendation to the schools were going to be was try and put it diametrically opposed to wherever the SRO is. And that way, but again, under the authority of some supervisor, you know, so that it doesn't get pulled like the fire alarm.
And it's a great plan B, because you have many days where the SRO's in a different part of the building, like Sheriff said, or they're not off campus. It's not even available on campus.
SRO's not on this day?
Principal's
Doing
not on
court
this.
or?
Question for Sonny. So you mentioned that you would talk with Representative Lambert, and you needed to identify department?
Yes, because he said there was so many different departments within the state that I needed to find out exactly which department he needed to go talk to get approval for it. And so, he gave me a couple of ideas of who I might need to talk to. But again, I'm going back to the recovery court who deals with this constantly.
Right.
And get their person that they speak with and try to talk to them.
Okay. If a recommendation from our commission to the legislature would be even needed to help that process along, that may be something to consider as well.
Well, like I said,
We gotta get to
I
that.
was just gonna say, I did, do a little research, and I know that the Macon County schools have that. So you might talk to them and see
Okay.
what they went through. And I believe that, I was told that they got it for free, so,
Well, like I said.
yeah, so whatever agency,
Right,
they would know,
through the state agency, yes.
they would know.
Bring your drug dogs in the schools.
so I guess we have a motion to strongly encourage the school board to adopt this measure, put it in their budget, whatever needs to be done, to install these boxes and have them stocked. So I'll go ahead and make the motion. Second. Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. Okay, I know we're running against time here. I'm gonna bring my chairman's report. I'm concerned that we have no visibility into the school board's accounting and financial management. At 2:10 today, Dr. Phillips sent me an email with a report in PDF form. Since it is in PDF format, I couldn't access the report. I sent an email to him at 4:01 asking if anybody would be here to answer questions. And then at 4:08, I told him that the hyperlink was inaccessible. We were supposed to have a quarterly briefing by the director and be able to audit. That's in the law. Be able to audit the information according to Tennessee State Law 49-2-301 that states the following in sub paragraph Q about the duties of director of schools, and it says, make a written report quarterly to the appropriate local legislative body for the board of all receipts and expenditures of the public schools funds, which accounts shall contain full information concerning the conditions, progress, and needs of the schools, of the school system, and which shall be audited by the appropriate fiscal officer and local legislative body. I sent Dr. Phillips an email to this effect back on 16 November after it had been read into record during the 1 November meeting, and he replied on 17 November that he understood that. Commissioner Boyd also requested last year's quarterly reports and has not received anything yet, correct? Okay. So I would like to set up an ad hoc committee to see how this issue can be resolved. People that I would like to submit to be on this committee are, and like I say, since this isn't a budgetary financial management, I would like to try and get as many financial people as possible on this committee. So I'd like to get Commissioner Boyd, Citizen Todd Kerr, David Lawing, our financial director, and also Colin Zimmerman. And then have our law director on that committee also. And then to have the history, we need the sage of the of the school system, Commissioner Hyde on that.
That sounds old.
Been around. And also myself. So, I'd like to make a motion to open this for discussion. Do I have a second? Okay. Anybody want to discuss this?
Mr. Chairman, can you repeat what the purpose of the ad hoc is?
Purpose of the ad hoc is to no visibility into the school board's accounting and financial management.
Just to gain the visibility?
Yeah, needing that visibility, yes. So,
How would we measure that? Just making sure somebody's here to speak on it every month, or?
well, that's what the ad hoc committee would decide.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
I just wanna make sure we've got good
like I say,
metrics
I
for them to.
want them to be able to take the time to figure this out and everything,
Yeah.
and meet on a monthly basis, something like that. I guess we can get that under control whenever we have that meeting. So, if there's no discussion, I make a motion that we approve this committee.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Last thing we got is adjournment.
So,
Second.
Shannon, did you want to talk about?
We're adjourned.
I'll do it. Because nobody,